For me, it's about the law and people. How am I supposed to quantify the value of these things when I don't have evidence?
I'm sorry.
And how people can resolve their problems and just be better for it.
Justice with passion.
I always knew I was going to go into law because I tried to see everybody's point of view in an argument. You say one thing, she says another. So who am I to believe?
Justice with truth.
Either you make the decision or I make the decision. You won't like mine.
This is Justice for All with Judge Cristina Perez. Corey Jenkins is suing Calvin Parrish in the amount of $3,000. Mr. Jenkins claims his father left him his riding lawnmower in his will, but says now that he's gone, his dad's neighbor refuses to give it to him.
Mr. Jenkins, you are suing Mr. Parrish for a total of $3,000, correct?
Yes.
And this is based on a prized lawnmower, more emotional value than not, that was your father's?
Yes.
Okay, why don't you start from the beginning?
Well, I'm just here to get what's owed to me.
Okay.
A few years ago, my father put in his will that I could take his lawnmower and a few other prized possessions. During that time, before my father passed away, unfortunately, he was going through MS and he eventually died from a heart attack. During that time, I feel like Mr. Parrish, he took advantage of my father while he was on MS, and I don't feel that my father actually gave it to him. He just wanted him to handle business.
Okay. So the will in question is the will that you submitted to the court, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So, Mr. Parrish, why don't you explain how long you lived next to Mr. Jenkins Sr., why you have his lawnmower? Please explain.
I've known Mr. Jenkins for like 15 years. He's like a father.
Your next door neighbors?
I was his yes, I'm his next door neighbor.
For 15 years, that's a long time. Did you ever meet Mr. Parrish before, Mr. Jenkins?
I've met him a few times.
Yes.
But yeah, I reached out to him a few times, but we never really got to speak.
So you knew that they were next door neighbors?
Yes.
Okay. Did your father ever say anything negative or positive about Mr. Parrish?
No, not really. We had an on and off relationship, so we didn't speak too much about it.
So you didn't speak. So then, Mr. Parrish, continue. 15 years you lived next to the Jenkins.
Yep, I've been with him for 15 years, neighbor-wise, and I've been helped taking care of him because he does have MS. About 5 years ago, I think he got diagnosed with MS. I've been helping him around the house. I've actually been mowing the lawn. I've been mowing his lawn and my lawn as well. It's a riding mower. I've been trying to help him because I know he's been suffering. He can move around the house, but he can't move as fluent as he used to move. So I've been there with him the whole time, helping him out.
That's very nice of you.
And he allows me to hold on to the lawnmower that we were using.
So when he was alive, he would tell you, just keep it at your house. What would he do?
Yeah, what happened was normally what I do is
before you move on, did Mrs. Jenkins know that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, she did. Yes, she did. Normally I would mow both our lawns and I would return the lawnmower. And
then how did you start mowing his lawn? Did it start when you discovered he had MS, or why was it that you felt you needed to volunteer?
Kind of, because knowing, like I said, he's like a father figure to me, and I have a real close relationship to him. And so normally when I come home from work, I see him out in the yard, I would do it for him. I would help him out, and he would allow.
Was he having trouble mowing his own lawn?
Yes, he was. He was having trouble moving around.
Well, what do you think about when you hear that?
I mean, obviously his perspective is going to be different than mine.
What do you think about when you hear that the next door neighbor loved your father like a father figure and actually mowed his lawn and helped him with chores around the house? That's funny to you?
His perspective is going to be different.
But no, is that funny that he did that?
It's not funny to me.
Because who mowed the lawn? Do you know who mowed the lawn?
I guess Mr.
Okay.
Parrish.
Who picked out the weeds?
It's me.
Mr. Parrish.
Who did the things around the house that your dad couldn't do?
Mr. Parrish.
So then, Mr. Parrish, you mowed the lawns. I understand you have large properties.
Yes.
And you said before that at one point, Mr. Jenkins' father said, keep the lawnmower in your house?
Yes.
Why did he say that?
He said it specifically because he said, you're using the lawnmower more than me and you're helping me out. He said, I'm not using the lawnmower. I can't use it no more like I used to. You're cutting both of our lawns, so it's better that it stays at your house. I texted him and asked him, do you want me to bring the lawnmower back over? He said, no, keep it at your house. You can have it.
Okay, so those were his words, keep it at your house.
Yes.
not I'm giving it to you.
Exactly.
No, he said, no, he specifically said, you can keep it. I have the text.
Okay, I'll see that. I'll see that. Okay. Keep it at your house. So then what happened next?
So it broke down. I texted him, I let him know that it broke down. He said, well, let's see if we can trade it in, because I don't want to just sitting around the house, and see if we can get
He
an
said
upgrade.
that?
Yes, Mr.
Your
Jenkins
father?
said yes.
Okay.
He said, let's see if we can trade it in. So I went to Luke's, seen what they had to offer. They offered me $950 for it. I actually found out that the only reason it wasn't working because the belt broke. So he increased it to $1,500, gave us the $1,500. I added $2,500 of my own money, and we upgraded the lawnmower.
Coming up on Justice for All.
So I just think he took advantage of him while he was going through a tough time, and personally, I just don't appreciate it.
You think he took advantage of your father when he mowed your father's lawn and basically was his personal handyman?
And later,
So you made your fiancée put the wedding ring on her credit card?
Correct, Your Honor, but it was her idea.
if you'll be in the Los Angeles area and want to bring your case to court, call 1-888-552-6878. Closed captioning provided by. You're watching Justice for All with Judge Cristina Perez. We're back with the case of Corey Jenkins, who is suing Calvin Parrish for theft.
Give me the evidence of the text messages with Mr. Jenkins Sr. All right, so did you read the text messages?
Yes, I've read.
Okay, and what did you think?
I think there's a difference between letting somebody do something for you because you're unable to and giving it to you. So I think he just took advantage of my father so he could able to do his grass himself. So I just think he took advantage of him while he was going through a tough time, and personally, I just don't appreciate it.
You think he took advantage of your father when he mowed your father's lawn and basically was his personal handyman?
Yes, I think it was more so a personal.
I think your dad, I mean, God rest his soul,
But he was sick.
was using him to do things around the house, and probably was very grateful that he did that for him. Extremely grateful.
He was sick at the time, so.
Judge,
Yes.
I wanted to say one thing. Corey hasn't been around for like 3 years. I mean, I haven't seen him. I've seen him here and there, but it's been at least 3 years. So he comes, and all of a sudden he's just, trying to get whatever he can get as far as what his father left him. House-wise, I think he's not working. So he's trying to get whatever he can get and use me as an scapegoat.
I'm going to ask, just because I think, just out of curiosity, why would you need an old lawnmower anyway?
So I can continue to cut the grass for my mother. My mother is still alive. He left a Mustang, he left some Colts tickets, and he left a few other things, and I wanted to make sure that I mend the relationship that I didn't have with my father, with my mother, and continue to cut the grass.
Okay. Why don't you ask Mr. Parrish to borrow the lawnmower? I'm sure he'd be happy to let you borrow it.
I wouldn't ask to borrow something that's mine.
The new lawnmower is not yours.
On paper, it says it.
Not the new lawnmower.
In the will, it says the lawnmower.
The will says the old lawnmower was yours. That old lawnmower does not exist because he traded it in.
So that sounds like a problem that he has. You shouldn't have traded it in.
I had permission.
Well, your father gave him permission to trade it in.
Did he?
Yes, he did.
Yes, he did.
You said you saw the text messages.
I did. I seen the text messages.
So the text messages to me are clear that your father told him, keep the lawnmower.
Yes.
And he says, I want you to have the lawnmower. So I'm at an impasse because usually the will would control. A will would trump everything, right? Despite of any, if there's no other clear evidence indicating that there's a small change, then the will would rule, the will would govern. But in this case, I have undisputed evidence that he gave an old lawnmower as a gift away to his neighbor. I have no reason to believe that your father was not sound mind, sound body. I have no reason to believe Mr. Parrish tried to manipulate emotionally or with some type of threat of violence if he didn't give him an old lawnmower. I have none of that. So I would have to enter this as part of the will to show that the one thing he decided to take away from his property was an old lawnmower that he gifted to his neighbor. Understand?
Yes.
So you got to keep everything else. But to me, this is clear evidence that your father amended that part of the will and gave his lawnmower away. Had I not had this, and it would have been just his word against yours, I would have said, well, hey, the will trumps, because I've got no other evidence. But I have clear evidence. You said this is your father's phone. You said you read the text messages.
Yes.
So, unfortunately, Mr. Jenkins, I'm going to have to deny your claim for $3,000 because the lawnmower was gifted to the defendant, Mr. Parrish. Now, my sense tells me Mr. Parrish is an accommodating neighbor that, despite you having a bad relationship with your father, was a man who actually loved your father, is a man who actually loved your father and looked up to him.
Yes.
That says a lot. I am sure if you ask him to let you borrow the lawnmower, or if you ask him, hey, Calvin, when I'm not here, would you mind helping my mom out? What would you say?
I would say absolutely. I was doing it before, and I'll continue to do it.
He did it for how many years did you do it for?
Over 5 years.
Why don't you sit down with him man to man and sit down with him and ask him, can you do that? Or can you let me borrow it when I'm there? These are the days where I'm going to be there. Maybe if you sit down with him, you can work something out with him, okay? And continue the tradition that your father started with his neighbor. I have evidence that clearly states that the lawnmower was gifted to the neighbor by your father, okay? So based on the evidence, I will deny your claim for $3,000. Good luck.
Thank you. Thank you.
All rise.
Judge Perez has ruled in favor of the defendant. The plaintiff's claim has been denied.
If you need the lawnmower, just come over and ask for it. If not, when you're not there, I'll cut the lawn for your mom.
I just want my lawnmower back now. It's my lawnmower.
You're not even there to cut the lawn.
I'll do the job myself.
3 years.
Thank you.
Coming up on Justice for All.
Why didn't you just buy it yourself or wait to buy it? Would you have her put it on her credit card?
Your Honor, I can't afford that kind of ring. I proposed to her.
Did she know that?
Yes, she was totally in knowledge of that.
Closed captioning provided by. You're watching Justice for All with Judge Cristina Perez. Adrienne Hain is suing Thomas Humphrey in the amount of $5,600. Ms. Hain claims her ex-fiancé used her credit card to buy her engagement ring and says now that they've broken up, he refuses to pay her back.
All right, Ms. Hain, I understand that you and the defendant were engaged. Mm-hmm. Okay, you're no longer engaged. Why are you suing him for $5,600? I mean, did he buy the ring? Was it on his credit card?
It was on mine because he didn't have enough funds at the time. So the agreement was that he would pay me back the full amount when he was able to.
So you made your fiancée put the wedding ring on her credit card?
Correct, Your Honor, but it was her idea.
Why was it her idea? Why didn't you just buy it yourself or wait to buy it? Would you have her put it on her credit card?
Your Honor, I can't afford that kind of ring. I proposed to her.
Did she know that?
Yes, she was totally in knowledge of that. I told her I didn't have the funds for it. I told her my budget of $1,800 at the ring store, and she wanted the nicest one there, nicest and most expensive, and since I loved her, I gave it to her.
This is part of the reason why we broke off the engagement, because his lack of drive.
Why, because you forced him to buy something he couldn't afford?
No, because he doesn't have the work ethic necessary to support a lifestyle that I want to live, as well as my future children to live.
Then why'd you fall in love with him and date him if he was not good enough for you?
Because he's so kind, he's thoughtful.
But he's not good enough for you because he can't maintain your lifestyle. So why would you fall in love with him and have a relationship with him because he wasn't good enough for you?
Because I did think I was in love with him, and I thought money doesn't matter to me, but it's this.
Obviously, it matters to you.
The internal drive.
Obviously, it matters to you because he could only afford $1,800. And what's the total value of the ring?
$7,200.
Coming up.
If he truly couldn't afford it, he shouldn't have agreed to it.
He said he could only put $1,800 down.
But
Did
yet
you not
he
hear
still
him?
did it.
Closed captioning provided by. You're watching Justice for All with Judge Cristina Perez. We're back with the case of Adrienne Hain, who is suing Thomas Humphrey for bad debt.
You forced him to buy something he could not afford because that's what you wanted. You weren't thinking about your lifestyle together. You were thinking about what you deserved.
If he truly couldn't afford it, he shouldn't have agreed to it.
He said he could only put $1,800 down.
But
Did
yet
you not
he
hear
still
him?
did it.
Because he wanted to make you happy. But what was your understanding, that he would only put $1,800 down?
No, that he would pay me back throughout the next, whenever he could.
Did you tell her you were going to pay it back?
Yes, and I totally agreed to that, and I would have if we would have gotten married. See, this ring was supposed to be a marriage present.
Who gets
yet-
a marriage present?
Well,
That's what an engagement ring is technically. Who broke up
Thank
with
you.
who?
she just left, middle of the night.
Oh.
No explanation to me.
You broke up with him.
I did break it off with him.
Oh, okay, that makes things very different. So you broke up with him in the middle of the night without a word. You sneaked out.
Yes, we don't live together, so I
Oh,
just
I
went back to my house. I just realized that what our relationship was not love. It was a friendship. We had been dating for 2 years. You just get married because that's what you do.
No, you get married because you love someone.
But you think that you love me, but you don't.
No, I love you.
Do you know the last time I cried? I don't know what your greatest aspiration is in life. I don't know.
Okay, Miss Hain, well, you dated him. So it's good that you guys got to know each other, your true selves, before you got married. Okay, so you broke up with him because he was not good enough for you. It's true. Everything you're saying is he's not good enough for you.
We just don't know each other. We're in different places.
You didn't know each other after dating for 2 years. Okay, so who has the ring now?
I do. I'm here.
Okay, all right. So you kept the ring because technically you still own it.
Correct.
Because of the loan. And that was the right thing to do.
Judge Perez's verdict when Justice for All returns. Promotional consideration provided by. You're watching Justice for All with Judge Cristina Perez.
You already paid for the $1,800, which you couldn't afford. And she broke up with you. So the moment she broke up with you, that payment on that credit card no longer was required.
But we had an agreement that he would pay me back.
Yeah, but then you broke up with him, so agreement's over.
We also had an agreement to get married.
Yeah,
yet.
agreement's over. End of
Well, would
story.
you rather that we went through
why
with
don't
the
you sell the ring back? Go back to the jewelry and say, listen, I broke up. I still have $5,600 on my credit card. Can you take it back? A lot of jewelers will take it back.
We
They'll
tried.
refurbish it and sell it.
We tried.
Based on the evidence, Ms. Hain, I will deny your claim for $5,600. You have the possession of the ring. I recommend you try to go to another jeweler, try to sell it, and try to pay the credit card back with that. And unfortunately, you are on the hook for the rest of the money. Okay? Good luck, kids.
Judge Perez has ruled in favor of the defendant. The plaintiff's claim has been denied.
So I had to come to this.
You should be grateful that I made the smart decision, the hard one, that was for the best for the both of us.
For you.
This has been a production of Allen Media Group.